I have 5 tattoos. I put up 10 fingers, but I only have 5, and today, that's what we're talking about. Hey guys, it's Molly here again, and I keep getting requested to talk about my tattoos, so I figured I would do the, all about my tattoos and piercings kind of video. I know I love watching these videos as a huge tattoo fan, and you guys keep requesting, so that's what we're gonna do. If you're wondering why a blind girl who can't see tattoos has 5 of them, I did a video that discussed that a few weeks ago, so I'll definitely have that linked at the end of this video and linked down below. I don't want to talk about it too much in this video because this video is already going to be very long to begin with. For those of you who just stumbled upon this video, I'm blind, so it's been a thing for a while now. You can find out more about that on my channel. Again, not going to touch on that too much in this video. So I feel like I should just start with the order I got them in. So I'll start with my back piece, and I'm going to try to insert some close-ups as I'm talking about it so you can see what I'm talking about, for those of you who are watching this and actually sighted. So the first one I got when I was 17 years old. It is a very large piece. It's my largest piece. For some reason, I decided to go bigger to smaller. I guess for me, like in my mind, I was like, all right, I want to go in when I don't know the pain and sit down and force myself to get through this like big tattoo, and once it's going, I'm not turning back, versus then like if I'd started getting smaller ones and working my way up, I would know the pain that I was going in for the big one. So I don't know, that was kind of where my mind went. So the first one was when I was 17, and I have since added to it. So the birds that you see, the 5 birds, were an add-on later by a different artist. But everything else you see was a part of the initial tattoo, and everything has a meaning. All of my tattoos have a meaning. If your tattoos don't have a meaning, that's totally cool, but I like tattoos, personally for me, on my body that tell a story, so mine do have meanings. I guess I'll just start with the flowers. So there's 2 flowers. The one on my left side is a purple lotus flower that is blooming, and the one on my right side is a purple lotus flower that's blowing away. So the purple lotus flower, the reason I chose the lotus flower is because the phrase goes, no mud, no lotus, which basically means the lotus flower grows through muddy conditions, and that's the only flower in the world, I believe, that actually does that. And then once it's fully grown, it breaks off of its stem and it finds a better place to go. And I kind of view that like my life a little bit. Being bullied, going blind, dealing with mental health stuff, I kind of had to grow up through some muddy conditions, but I feel like it's really, I've left that in the past, it's behind me, and I'm embracing what's ahead of me. And so the reason this one is blooming is it's representing the future that's ahead of me, and the one on my right is blowing away, representing letting go of my past and the issues that I've had. The reason I chose the color purple is because purple was the favorite color that I had when I was going blind, and to this day is still my favorite color. And the color purple, because colors have like emotions that correspond with them. And interestingly enough, the color purple actually represents peace, calm, and healing. And I feel like it's kind of cool that that was my favorite color at the time that I was going blind, because I didn't know that at the time, but those were 3 emotions that, or 3 things that I really needed in my life. So I don't know, I kind of feel like that's like a weird, interesting fact, I guess. And then there's 4 words written in Braille. So that's what that is. I've had people be like, oh, you have Morse code tattooed on your back. And I'm like, no, that you can't get, nope. So it's Braille, which is obviously what I read as a blind person. I can't honestly remember the order. I think it's hope, fight, believe. I'm pretty sure that's the order. And then the bottom word is strength. And then there's just some filigree, winding throughout. And then the sun represents basically a few things. So the sun represents that we all share this one earth, despite the fact that we are all very different. We all come from different backgrounds. We all, have very different life experiences. We all share this earth together. We all sleep under the same moon, and we all spend our day under the same sun. So it kind of represents just like unity, and finding that within my own social life, just finding, people that I can connect to and relate to, and being open-minded and empathetic to those who I might not understand. But it also represents Soleil. So Soleil is sun in French. My guide dogs only know French because they're trained in Quebec, and being in Canada, French is obviously our second language. So that's kind of a part of it. But Soleil was a nickname of mine that I had in high school because they said Soleil is the sun, and the sun is a light that never goes out. The sun goes down, but it always rises again, and my friend said that's like me. That, you know, I go down, I have some really bad moments, and I have had some really traumatic things happen in my life, but I will always rise again, and I'm not going to stay down for long. I will find my way to rise again like the sun. So that's why my nickname was Soleil, and they also said, like, the sun is just, like, one of those things that so many people love. The sun, it's warm, it's inviting, and I don't know, they said that's, like, my personality, so that's really sweet. The eye in the middle of the sun is kind of like my protection. So it's to remind me that I'm never alone. There's always somebody looking out for me. There's somebody up there to believe in. I don't know what you believe in, and I choose to keep my beliefs, you know, kind of private, but I am a very spiritual person, and it just, that reminder that I'm never truly alone. There's somebody watching out for me, and there's a reason behind all of what happens. And then finally the birds that I had added on, I believe a year later, I had them added on, and the 5 birds represent my family members. So myself, my brother, my mom, my dad, and my guide dog. Because my guide dog, whether it be my first dog Gypsy, or who I had at the time of getting this tattoo, or my dog Gallop now, I'm always going to have a guide dog in my life, and they mean so much to me. So definitely had to have 5, not 4. So those are the birds, and they basically represent that as a family, no matter what, we all fly together. We all stay together, whether we're flying against the wind or with the wind, you know, whether we're going against the current, we're having struggles, or we're smooth sailing, we're always going to stay together. And my family means the world to me. They've supported me through everything, and I try my best to always support them, and that's what it represents. Just, I have them, and I always know that we're together, we're united as a family, and we support each other no matter what. So I'm very thankful for them. And I don't know if you can tell, because obviously I've never seen my tattoo, so I don't know how well you can see it, but I got the artist to do one of the birds with, like, white tips instead of black, all black like the rest of them, and that represents my guide dogs, because my guide dogs are Bernese Mountain Dog lab crosses, and they have white markings on them, so that's what that represents. And I don't know, it might be like a little faded. I got it, it's obviously full color, but I got it done, you know, I'm 23 now, so a long time ago, 17, so I will definitely at one point get it touched up, but I asked my artist last time I went in and got tattooed if I needed to touch it up, and she said not yet, but I'm thinking of adding a mandala in the back of the tattoo, so I'm gonna have an artist maybe draw that up in the future. But definitely love my back piece, and it's continuing to grow and be a part of me and stay with me. It just obviously has so many meanings and represents so many things to me that I just, other people's opinions on it doesn't matter. I've had people tell me that they think it's ugly, that they don't like it, and you know what, that's your opinion. I love it because it has so much meaning to me, and I don't regret getting it whatsoever. And I know a lot of people, especially with getting tattoos young, they fear that they might regret it. And honestly, the way I look at it, as long as you're not making like a super stupid impulsive decision, as long as when you're getting it, it has some form of a meaning, even if later on down the line that meaning doesn't exist for you anymore, as long as it's not like a racist tattoo or something horrible like that, like, you can still look back and realize that had meaning at one point in your life, and at one point that meant so much to you that you felt the need to get it tattooed. So I don't know, that's how I view that kind of like idea of regret. But obviously, like, not everybody wants to get tattoos, and that's totally cool. I respect you for not wanting them, and I would like you to hopefully respect me for choosing to get them. I think it's art and it's beautiful, and I love creating my own canvas on my body. And I like with my back piece, I spent a long time planning it and thinking of each piece in detail, what I wanted, and it's still a work in progress. Like I said, I still might change something or add to it. It's, you know, it's forever growing and changing with me, and it's something I put a lot of effort into. My parents had to sign for me to get my back piece, at least the initial part. I was old enough once I got the birds, but the initial part my parents signed for. And you know, they only signed because I walked them through what it meant to me and why it meant this and why I wanted it and all of that, and they were very supportive of that and were a part of the design process. And yeah, I definitely don't regret it. So moving on to the next one. Actually, you know what? Okay, so I got most of that back piece minus the birds. Then I got my wrist. Then I got the birds. So kind of went that way. And the wrist is really the only one that you guys probably see on a regular basis. Oh, and by the way, the back piece took, I believe, about 4 hours. 4 hours of hell. It was awful. The black wasn't so bad. Like all the black was fine. I can totally deal with that. It's like that longer skinny needle, and it's kind of the long strokes. That was fine. It was when I got to the coloring where like my adrenaline was gone. I was getting tired. My skin was already so raw from the black that once they went in with the thicker needle and did the scribbling for color and shading, that was hard. And the sun was the last part we did on the first back piece, because I did this all in one sitting, and that sun is right on my spine, and I'm a pretty thin girl, so that was very difficult. That sun, that coloring in the eye in the middle of the sun was brutal. I was so happy when it was done, and one of the employees at the shop actually came by when it was finished and was like, "Is this your first tattoo?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "And you just did that in one sitting?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I could not do that now, and I'm covered in tattoos." And I was like, "Yes, I'm a boss." It made me feel really good about myself. So that was that. I did that all in one sitting, again, minus the birds. Then my second tattoo was when I was 18, and that was my wrist. And this one, it was on a whim. This one 100% like was not planned out. I will say that straight up. It was a spur of the moment decision. I was in Halifax for work, and I was 5 days there. It was June, and there was not much to do. Like, I had work, but not that much work. So my friends and I were like, "What are we gonna do?" Or my coworkers and I, who were also friends, were like, "What are we gonna do while we're here? Let's get tattooed." So we literally Googled best tattoo shops in Halifax, and 2 came up that had like, each year it seemed to like flip-flop between like this one getting best shop and this one getting best shop. So we went, checked both of them out. They were on the same street, so we walked up there, went to both, and one was like, "Yeah, we can fit you in an hour." So we were like, "All right, let's do it." It was a really nice shop, like hardwood floors, white walls, chandeliers. It was like really clean. I always like to go to like very nice clean shops. I typically do research the artist a little bit, but not this time. So we went in, and I called my mom, and I was like, "Just so you know, I'm getting a tattoo." And I didn't need permission, but I was just like, I don't know, I'm very close with my parents, and I don't want to disrespect them in any way. And even though I lived on my own at this point, I had a full-time job, I just wanted to let them know. So I called, and I was like, "You can't stop me, but I'm doing it, just so you know." And I was just like, what am I gonna get? Living Freely. So as you can see in the close-up, it's just very dainty, small, thin lines of script that says "Living Freely." And I feel like it means a lot to me. Even though I got in a spur of the moment, those words do mean a lot to me. And like I kind of mentioned with my back piece, it does continue to take on new meanings as I grow and change as a person. And for me, at the time, Living Freely kind of represented that I was 1 year into living on my own. I was 1 year into having a full-time job, 1 year out of high school. Like, it was kind of representative of really living freely. Like, I'm not living with parents. I'm not having to go to school all the time. I have a full-time job. I'm a working woman. I'm making my own money. I'm paying my own bills. Like, I'm living freely. So it kind of represented like the very literal living freely. But it also, for me now, represents a reminder of like, living free to be myself. Like, I am free to be whoever I want to be, and I don't have to listen to society's pressures that are telling me I'm supposed to look a certain way or act a certain way or be a certain way to be successful or to be cool or to be liked or to find friends and boyfriends. That I'm living freely of all of those societal pressures, and just that reminder of when I feel like I'm falling into that trap of those pressures, that I don't have to. Live free to be myself. So that's that one. That's that story. It did not hurt at all. Literally was over so quick. He just did it freestyle, so people always ask me what the font was. It wasn't a font, I don't believe. Like, I just said, like, whatever you think will look good on my body, you can see. And he's actually like a typographer. I don't know, maybe that's the name, but he's like fascinated by fonts, and he specializes in script tattoos, and we actually all got script. They got totally different tattoos. We all got completely different things, different scripts, different places on our bodies, but we all got script. So it was good that we found somebody who specializes in script. And then my last 3 tattoos, I took a few years off from getting tattoos. And my last 3 tattoos I got all in one sitting, and I actually vlogged it, so you can see that on my channel if you're interested. And I got them when I was out in LA. I decided to get all 3 together because they're all very small, and if you know anything about tattoos, you're charged a flat rate just for opening the needle, which typically is around $85. And so I knew I could either get like all 3 done separately, or I guess 2 done separately because one of them's kind of a piece, just separated, and get charged like the $85 flat for both plus the cost, or I could just do it once. So I was like, it's gonna be better to do it once. So I was in LA, and I knew I really wanted to get part of it done in LA, and I'll explain why. But I asked my friend who lives out there to get recommendations for shops, and he got 2 recommendations, and one of them, we knew we were gonna be in the area. It's Melrose Tattoos, and we knew we were gonna be around Melrose. So I called that place, they didn't answer. I called again, they didn't answer. And their voicemail was basically like, we don't take walk-ins. We rarely answer the phone because we're always working. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna get through to these people. And I was only there for a couple days, so I was like, oh, I hope I can get it done. And I just got these done in November, in case you're wondering. So I ended up being like, okay, I'll call one more time, and if they don't answer, it's not meant to be. 3rd time was the charm. A girl answered, and she was like, you caught me at the right time. I happened to be at my computer doing paperwork. So what's up? And I basically said, I have 3 very small pieces that I want. They're really simple. You know, can you fit me in tomorrow? She was like, what time? And I was like, nighttime, which was gonna be like a Friday night. She was like, okay, I have a kid. Let me see if I can figure it out. And in the meantime, she said, send me the clips of art, like send me ideas, and I'll send you my Instagram so you can see my art. At this time, I had not told her I was blind. And so she sent me her Instagram, and my friend starts scrolling through, and he's like, oh my god, this girl was on LA Ink. Like, she was on the last season of LA Ink. And he's going through, and she's like, her art's amazing. For those who are wondering, it's Ruthless Tattoos. Ruth, her name's Ruth, but Ruthless Tattoos is like her Instagram. And she says she has like tons of work up there, and he's like, this stuff is killer. And I grew up watching LA Ink and Miami Ink, so I was like, no way I stumbled upon an artist who was on LA Ink. This is so cool. And then when I sent her my art, I got a pop-back email that was like, I'm booked 2 months in advance. Like, this is my flat fee. And it just was going through all this stuff, and I was like, booked 2 months in advance. How did I just happen to get her on the phone to do my tattoo, agree to doing it at like 7:30 on a Friday night? It was just lucky. I just stumbled upon it. So we ended up going the next day, and it was a really great experience. She was such a cool girl, and I definitely want to go back to her if I do get any future work, because I think she was great. Actually, between my 5 tattoos, I've worked with 4 artists. So yeah, I'm definitely not loyal to an artist. I like to find the best artist or in that moment. So she was great, and I loved her, and I'll definitely go back. I had a really positive experience with her. Again, so I got one behind my ear, which you'll see in the close-up now. I actually got this one last of the 3, and it hurt the least. It is a semicolon tattoo with a heart instead of a dot on top. And again, like always, has multiple meanings to me. Of course, if you know anything about semicolon tattoos, it's a mental health tattoo. So the semicolon is something that writers use when they could have ended a sentence, but they chose to continue the sentence. So instead of putting a period, they put a semicolon. And so it's kind of like the battle with mental health. It's, you know, you could choose to end it. You could choose to stop it all and end your life, or you could choose to keep fighting through and keep marching on. And I've been there. I've been in that place of wanting to end it all, and I chose to keep marching on. And it's just, you know, reminding me to continue that fight and continue marching on. And it also unites me to all other people with semicolon tattoos, to all other people affected in some way, and who choose to kind of be allies or fighters, that we're all fighting together, and it's just this mutual bond that we have. And I love that. And I love that, you know, people with these tattoos, we aren't ashamed of our mental health issues. We're not ashamed of the battle we're fighting. We're proud that we're still here, and we're showing it, we're representing it, and we're not ashamed. And I think that's really cool, because I'm not ashamed. So That's why I got it, and I'm typically not into like just flash art. That's just not my personal style for my body. Again, cool if you're into flash art. It's not my thing, so this is like the closest I will ever come to a flash art tattoo, but because again it does have so much purpose and meaning, I'm totally okay with that. And I did try to make it at least a little unique with the heart instead of the dot, and I'm sure there are other people out there who have the heart instead of the dot, but it's kind of my way of being at least a little bit unique. And then the reason I chose the heart is because Miley Cyrus has love written in her ear, and I think the meaning behind that is really cute. And her meaning was like, listen to the love in your life, not the hate. So that's why it was like love on the ear. And I thought that was very cute, so I kind of combined it with like, that's why I put it behind my ear and put the heart. So the heart represents for me to listen to the love in my life and not the hate. Being online and in the entertainment industry, you can get hate, and it's important to just focus on the positive and the love that's in your life. So that's why I got that. And then the final ones are kind of like a combo. They're two tattoos that represent the same thing. So on the inside of my ankles, on my left side, I have my Canadian flag, and on the right side, I have my shamrock. I'm a dual citizen between Ireland and Canada, and I'm very proud of it. So it literally just represents like the maple leaf for Canada, the shamrock for Ireland, and that my roots are always on my roots. And that everywhere I go, because I travel so much for a living, you know, I never forget who I am and where I come from. And I'm always proudly representing my heritage everywhere I go. And because I plan on hopefully one day living in LA, I wanted to get my two kind of homes tattooed on me in my hopeful future home. So that's why I really wanted them done in LA. And I got the Canadian flag on the left side because I'm left-handed, so that's like the dominant side of me, and then the Irish on the right because obviously that's not my dominant hand, and I live in Canada, which is why it's dominant. So I don't know, I go for like so many layers of meanings when it comes to my tattoos, the colors, the placements, all that. So those are my tattoos. I hope you enjoyed finally getting explanations. I'm not sure if I'll get more tattoos or when. I know I probably will maybe do a mandala on my back within that piece, but that's probably about it for now. I think I'm tapping out there, but you know, you never say never. I'd love to hear what tattoos you guys have and what they mean to you, if they do mean anything. Definitely let me know down below. Thumbs us up if you're a fan of tattoos like I am, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!